Welcome to Cedarcroft. It's breakfast time here on the homestead, but I am making dinner. Today, we are going to be making beef stew in the slow cooker, and I'm very excited about this. It's been a while since I've had beef stew, and this is a good recipe. Are you ready? Let's get started. But first, another sip of coffee. I already put my stew meat in the slow cooker and I layered it in a single layer. Next, I'm going to take 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour and I'm just going to sprinkle it until it's nicely coated. And then I'm going to give it a stir. In my beef stew today, I have 1.5 pounds of stew meat that we got from the butcher. And that 1/2 cup of flour looks like a lot right now, but that is going to thicken that broth as it cooks today. So that's important. The next ingredient is 1 pound of carrots, and I peeled them and I cut them into about 1 to 1.5 inch chunks, and I think they look really pretty. So I'm going to put those in there. The next ingredient is 1 onion chopped, and I did not cut this really small, but I did cut it into large dices. 8 ounces of fresh mushrooms, or I have 2 cans, 2 4-ounce cans of mushroom pieces and stems that I am going to put in there. I think it just gives a really nice flavor in the stew. The next ingredient, 1 pound of potatoes, and I didn't measure these, so I'm going to see if I can fit these in. What do you think? You think I can fit them in? The next ingredient is 4 cups of beef broth. Now, I did not have any beef broth handy, so what I did, I took 4 cups of really hot water and I put enough of this broth base in to create a beef broth. I'm going to give it one last stir, and let's pour that in. There we go. The next ingredient is 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Okay. The next ingredient, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. One teaspoon of rosemary. Salt and pepper to taste. I'm just going to put a little bit of salt in there because that beef broth is probably really salty. So just in case, there we go. Okay. The next thing we do is give it a stir, and we are going to cook this on low for 7 hours. You can also cook it on high for 4. But we're going to do this low for 7 hours, and I'll bring you back when it's done. Okay, we're back. It has been 7 hours, so let's take a look at what is going on in this slow cooker. The 2 tablespoons of tomato paste has given it a nice look. The potatoes look tender, the carrots look tender, the onions have cooked down, and of course those mushrooms are in there, and our meat. So it is not quite thick enough for me. So what I'm going to do, and what you can do as well, anytime we cook in the slow cooker, we really don't want to cook it when it is already in a really thick state, because we don't want it to burn. So this I'm pleased with. So what I'm going to do is take about a half a cup of water. I have some cornstarch here. And I am going to make a slurry. I'm just going to stir this together until the cornstarch and the water come together. There we go. And this will make a thickener for our stew. It's flavorless, and it is a good way to get this stew to thicken up just a little bit. So what we're going to do is put this thickener in there, this slurry of water and cornstarch. And I did about a half a cup of water, and I did 3 heaping teaspoons, the eating utensil, of cornstarch in there. And so here we go. I'm going to pour this in. And give it a stir, and then we're going to let this, stir this around. There we go. And we're going to let this cook on low for another 10 minutes, just to see if it helps thicken it up. Okay. So there we go with that. I'm just trying to get all of the liquid stirred in. There we go. I think we've done it. Okay, so let's put the lid back on. And let's let it cook for another 10 minutes. I'll be right back. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes. Let's see how our stew looks now. Oh yeah, it's got a little more bubble going on. And look at this. Can you see that? Now watch. Now that looks, I know it poured out really fast, but I can see how much thicker it is, and it's glistening. Can you see that? Yeah, it's thicker, and that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so let's give this a taste. So let's see, I've got a little bit of meat there, a little bit of mushroom, a little carrot. Let me get a little potato. See if there's a smaller one. Nope, they're all the same size. All right, and a little bit of that gravy in there. Now this is thinner than gravy, but it's thicker than soup. So that's what I wanted. All right, I'm going to cover this back up so it stays nice and warm. All right, let's give this a taste test. First things first, let's taste the broth. Perfect. Perfect. I can taste the tomato, not too much, not overpowering. I can taste the beef. It has enough salt. The only thing I might add is a little more pepper. I like my beef stew to have a little tiny bit of a kick. And so let's try these vegetables. Now these carrots were really really big. Let's try that. I just cut one in half. Good. Tender and yet still firm. Easy to eat, but not fall apart. I don't like it when they get mushy, and this is not a mushy carrot. Perfect time. Now let's see this potato. Oh yeah, I can tell the potato is perfect as well because I can see inside it has just that little bit of, it's not a white anymore. It's got that cooked brown, you know, I've cooked in some gravy all day kind of a look. Perfect, perfect. So the last thing to try is the meat. Let's see if it is tender. Wow, that meat fell apart in my mouth. This recipe is a keeper. I hope that you give it a try. And as always, thank you for joining me here on my channel. Thank you for watching, and thank you for joining me as we go back to Cedar Croft.